Caden and Allison, it is very much true. They have a good, strong family background with faith, but they've embraced it and actually taken steps forward from it. Allison is very much a leader in Monarch Music and the ministry, providing music for all of our liturgical services of any kind, and a leader on campus with many different things. And always she writes, most often her and Madeline Rosine combined to write the petitions for Mass every time we have Mass at TMP. So they're very active and involved. Caden, active and involved in a little bit different way. He certainly serves Mass and is active and involved in that way on campus. But he's really a young man that the other young men in our school look to for spiritual guidance. The way he lives his life, and that would be true about Allison with the young ladies too. I didn't mean to imply that, Allison, but very much the other, whether Caden's aware of that or not, he's a very humble young man. So I'm not sure that he is that aware of how much the other young men at Thomas More Prep look to him for spiritual leadership and guidance by the way he conducts himself on a daily basis.
That is awesome. But we do want his head to fit out the door when he leaves here. So no, I like to joke. I apologize. All right. I want to break back in quickly to see if we can get those phones ringing. I know it's only been a few minutes, but I see that we still don't have a winner to our first trivia question for the 8 o'clock hour. So I'm going to ask that question one more time. Call in to 785-621-4110. If we have anybody at TMP that's listening, I think maybe you ought to let your classes listen, and they could answer some of these questions too. 785-621-4110. Here is the question. Oh, we do have a winner. I just get this popped up. I'll see who the winner is here in a minute and I'll announce it. But while I'm talking, I wanted to share that we do have that Care-a-thon goal of $125,000 that we want to meet by the end of Friday here. So help us with that goal. Donate at 785-621-4110. We are in talking with Rick Binder, who is a theology teacher at TMP-Marian. And we also have Allison Weber and Caden Becker in here. They are students from TMP. They are both runners that I have had. Wonderful young people. Both have great drive in their life to do well, not just in their work, but also in their spiritual life. And so we're going to get back to talk to them here in just a minute. Alexander Herla was our trivia winner. What is the longest liturgical season for the Catholic Church? Correct answer there is ordinary time. Ordinary time. All right. 785-621-4110 to call in. Give us your pledge. Let's get those phones ringing. Let's support Rick Binder, Allison Weber, Caden Becker. Let them know that you appreciate their time that they're taking away from school to be here and talk on the radio. So being that you guys, so you Catholic school your whole life. Allison, once again, how long have you been in Catholic school?
About 7 years.
Okay, so you've been able to see both sides of it. Okay, we're not here to pit the two against each other. Because there are. I had a guest on yesterday that talked about some of the wonderful people that are out there in public schools, and we do have wonderful people. But in fact, it was Dr. Nick Compagnon. But we do know that there are some distinct advantages to Catholic education. So what do you guys think are some of those differences that TMP Holy Family kind of holds apart from the public sector?
I'll start on this one.
Okay.
So some things that I've definitely noticed since elementary school and everything is it's not as easy to obviously express like your faith and everything throughout school, because you aren't allowed to pray with your class or anything, because that's like you can by yourself and everything. But it's just so much cooler to be able to pray with your entire class at the beginning of class periods, to be able to go to Mass and everything, and to have that one shared thing in common with all of your classmates and everything.
Yeah. And
in elementary school, I definitely noticed that when I had teachers who were Catholic and everything, or classmates who were Catholic, I was closer with them because of that aspect, and it was just a lot easier to obviously relate to one another and everything. And I had a lot of friends who weren't Catholic and everything, but it was just really, really cool going to Catholic school and having that one factor that was all the same and everything.
Absolutely. And it's not, having taught there, it's not like we don't want to give the misconception that like everybody's walking in with halos around their head, and at prayer time at the beginning or end of class, everybody's like, oh, and the room just lights up. There's people with their head down and bored and like, are we about done with this? But I think the point is that the opportunity is there. And it's not just like, well, hey, yeah, if you can go ahead and say this in your head on your own, but it's front and center in all of the classes. And that, what a beautiful blessing to just know that, like, okay, we are going to pray. Whether I enter into it or not, that's on me, but that's going to happen. What a beautiful testament to Catholic schools. Want to once again congratulate some people, or not congratulate, but to thank some people. So Alexander Herla, who was our trivia winner, also pledged $100, and Tyrell and Jerry Beasley pledged $250. So their funds, they're showing that they appreciate these young people that are in here. And the not so young, which would be Rick and myself, and they're showing that they appreciate that we are able to put Christ's message out there on the radio waves. 785-621-4110. They're helping us to use up those matching funds. We ask that you would do the same. Keep us on the airwaves. Keep these guests like our young folks here from TMP on the air, and let's keep going. So I want to get back to you guys, Caden. Question kind of was, what have you seen that you think are advantages of Catholic schooling?
So kind of, since we all share the same faith, I feel like there's a better community in Catholic schools as opposed to public schools, as everyone has something in common at least, and we can all relate to that. And also just being able to freely express yourself, and not just faith, but your beliefs in other areas too. No one will judge you too harshly most of the time, but everyone's more connected and just willing to accept new ideas.
Yeah. So I always thought that was one of the beautiful things, that even if a student disagreed with what was being taught in theology class, you could express that view. I had atheists in class. And so that is, I think, a blessing, because you can't do that in the public sector. If you try to have a theological discussion in the public sector, at best, you'll be told no. At worst, there are people that get kicked out for it, and so, yeah, that's a beautiful thing, is be able to talk through and share your opinions with one another and have discussions. So very, very awesome. Along with just, those type of things, are there other benefits to attending a Catholic school that you guys have seen?
Yeah, definitely. Because during like our classes and everything, when our teachers are able to incorporate our faith into what we're learning and just like tie it all together and teach us, like, especially in like science classes and like through reading literature and everything, when they can tie our faith into everything that we're doing, it helps us to have like a better grasp on everything that we're learning.
Yeah, so you've got a holistic approach,
Yeah.
rather than just a compartmentalized.
Exactly.
Awesome. Caden?
Yeah, especially in science and English class. I know reading Greek literature isn't really the best for people, but somehow Mr. Denton incorporates our Catholic faith into it, kind of tying back our reason why we're going to the Catholic school into it. And for my science teacher, Mr. Dennis, while he is a science major, he delves into the Catholic faith sometimes, and we can have debates with him about theology and science, kind of just meshing the two into one class.
Yeah, which is really neat, because I know that Mr. Dennis went to seminary for a little bit, so you've got somebody who has some theological background and is teaching a science course. And so that's pretty awesome, especially with the world out there thinking that the two are pitted against each other. It's great to be able to see how they meld so well. Rick, I'd like if you would jump in here a little bit and maybe talk about so the benefits of Catholic schooling. Your children were public school, correct? And so maybe can you give us some insight into what have you seen as a parent and a teacher that you would like to bring to the discussion?
Well, as you said, Cody, I attended public schools growing up. My children all attended public schools. I certainly had a great relationship. Best man at my wedding graduated from Thomas More Prep. back in 1980. So great relationship with people out
And
there
that's
over
when
the
I was
years.
born.
Yeah, well, I know I have a child as old as you are, Cody. So, so
God
I,
bless you, sir.
and the relationship when I was in the parish and youth ministry, certainly worked and collaborated with people from Thomas More to do some things. So a good relationship, but I did not fully appreciate personally how great it is to be in that building on a daily basis. The chapel is right there, to be able to just take a deep breath if you need to and go into the chapel and sit and pray before the Lord. On Fridays, as you well know, we spend most of the Fridays in adoration throughout the day with our religion classes. And the number of times I just see the weight of the world on the shoulders of these young people dealing with the stresses of life, academics, relationships, everything else in the world, to be able to just go sit before the Lord for a period of time that they would not have that opportunity somewhere else. Quite frequently, I have students, I'm going to say it's growing in as students become aware of it, but I'd say just about every other week or so, a student comes to me and just says, Mr. Binder, can we pray? Can we pray? And absolutely. And we go straight to the chapel and we pray together, and we light a votive candle, let that prayer rise up for as long as that candle's burning. And we pray together. We'll take whole classes to pray. When there's a situation that arises that impacts our school, we get the news that somebody's been in an accident or that somebody has been diagnosed with a terminal illness or something. An example, one of our alumni, very tragic accident on the farm, got his leg caught in a auger on the farm and had to have it amputated below the knee. We had mass for him. We were able to pray for him regularly. He's got a younger brother in my class, and I could tell you the comfort that his younger brother received just knowing that there's constant prayers being lifted up for his brother who's gone through this tragic time.
Yeah.
Was just a huge benefit. It gives me great peace. I actually very honestly will say that if my wife and I were able to go back and redo some things, we may make some different decisions. And again, we had a great experience.
Yeah.
Great people at Hayes High when my kids were there. I had a great experience clear back in the 70s when I went to high school. And, that has shaped us to be who we are. But I do greatly appreciate daily being able to walk into that school, knowing the presence of Christ in a very full way.
Yeah.
He is there in a way, and he's there in the other places too, but we get to bring him to the front and really make that the focus of our day.
Absolutely. That is so wonderful to hear. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for that. I'm going to break in and, Caden, you might know these people. Thank you to Ray and Olivia Becker. They pledged $100. So appreciate that. That just shows the testament to the people listening and to the young people who are sitting here with me. Because of that donation and because of our matching funds, their donation just became $200. And so that is awesome. That helps us to get to that total goal of $125,000. Please help us to reach that goal. The number you call is 785-621-4110, or you can donate at dvmercy.com. Stay tuned with us as we talk with Caden Becker, Allison Weber, and Rick Binder about Catholic schooling. You're not going to want to miss what we have going on today. And at about 8:30, I'll do that second question. So keep with us. Keep those calls coming. 785-621-4110. Okay. So as we've talked about a lot of the things between, Catholic schooling, public schooling, and stuff like that, is there anything else that you guys would like to mention that you just really appreciate? Maybe something that people don't think about that just TMP has offered you guys the benefits of?
I would say being able to find connections within the faith and within the church, such as finding ways to go to March for Life. TMP really offers great experiences to go there. Well, I've never been there. I've heard great experiences about it, and also offering places to go to further increase our Catholic faith, such as in CYC, which is through CYO, but TMP heavily encourages that as well, which is a great experience for a young person to have to just further increase their faith in Christ.
Absolutely, because that gives you those chances where sometimes you feel like you're like a man on an island. It's not that any of us are perfect or that we're walking saints. We should be trying to be, but I know how I am sometimes. But it does offer you that chance to be around people, and you're like, oh, hey, there's other people that love Jesus. Look at that. And so yeah, that's fantastic to hear that, because our Catholic schools, even if they're not directly the ones driving it, they're the ones who are, hey, here's these opportunities. And I know, Rick, what is it like to for them to like go to NCYC, to go to the March for Life, things like that? You've been a sponsor for many years. Does the school on your side really help support that, and things like that, if you get what I'm asking?
Yeah, absolutely. TMP is 100% committed to giving young people every opportunity possible to live their faith, not just learn about it in a classroom, but to actually go out and experience it. From the March for Life, been on that trip many times, the pilgrimage, to see the impact it has on young people. I know we always share on that trip somewhere along the way, why are we here? And I can tell you, as the trip goes on, sometimes early on the trip, the students, well, I'm here because it's a few days out of school, or I'm here because it sounded like a cool thing to do. But as we get into the heart of the actual experience, and we're there, it starts to have that conversion of heart to, oh, now I know why I'm here. I'm here because I value every life, and I start to recognize the dignity in the people around me, and I want to further that cause. We take 8th graders out to the Samaritan House in Denver on a monthly basis, 3 of them at a time with their parents. Oh my goodness, the conversations I've had with the parents and the kids that have gone there, can't wait to go back and experience that again, living our faith and recognizing Christ in all the people that we encounter, and in turn learning what it means to reflect Christ in our own lives. And I just see that TMP embraces that. We're looking for leadership opportunities. We, as a school, are going to sponsor a mission trip to St. Louis this summer, and we've invited students from Hayes High to join us.
Wow.
So there's 11 TMP students and 6 Hayes High students who are going to go on a mission trip together with some adult sponsors. We have One Bread, One Cup leadership experience that Thomas More Prep is participating in. Allison can speak to that and what her experience with something like that is. But we're growing and developing the opportunities. Just the more that we can come up with, the better, for young people to actually experience and live their faith as they're learning about it in the classroom.
That is awesome.
And again, these two are great examples of 2 students that embrace those opportunities to say, hey, I want to experience what I'm learning about.
Yeah. When they're gone on those pilgrimages, I hope you embrace not giving them any homework. I'm just throwing that out there. But also, I want to, we ought to just keep you two on for the entire day. Also, another one that you might know here. Thank you to Glenn and Anita Newberger. They pledged $500. So just bringing it in. All right.
Just for the record, Cody, I think the last 2 have pledged because of Allison and myself, not because of Caden.
Obviously not.
Obviously not. No connections there. All right. So thank you, Glenn and Anita. Your pledge with those matching funds just became $1,000. That is awesome. Way to go. Thank you for keeping us on the air. If nothing else, I get to just sit here and have great conversation. So thank you very much. 785-621-4110. Okay. Let's get back then to Allison and get back to our question about other positive impacts that you've had through your time at TMP.
Well, I think I've definitely had more volunteer opportunities, which is really helpful for, the future and everything with like colleges and all of that. And it's really cool to be able to have so many different opportunities, especially with my classmates and everything, with having opportunities to go to things like prayer in action. And that's like a whole week-long experience of just serving a community. And it's really cool to be able to do that with the people that you're friends with, because sometimes you go on trips or something, even with CYO or whatever, and you might not know everybody, and it's just a random group of people that you never really see again. But when it's with your classmates and everything, you come back to school and all of that, And it's just like you have that shared connection and stuff. And I definitely also noticed that with OBOC, because I went with 3 other people and some teachers and everything, and Mr. Binder. And I've definitely noticed that I still have all of those connections and everything, and we all have those shared memories from those trips. And being able to just connect on that level with them, especially with teachers and everything, is really cool, because
Yeah.
spending a week long with them. Oh, and of course you were there as well. So,
Yeah, the drive home was probably the best, though. You get to see a different side of us when you drive with us for, what was it, 10 and a half hours, something like that. So, yes.
Just being able to see everybody and just be around them for that period of time and have all of those experiences with them is really cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah, something Allison said just triggered a thought, Cody. So something we're really striving to do is understand, with all the service opportunities she mentioned and the opportunities to go and experience these things, trying to get to the understanding that service, living our faith, it's who we are. We're compelled to do that out of love for God because he first loved us. So we want to return that by living our lives that way. It's not a task or a chore. So when Allison talks about all the opportunities to volunteer, she's not checking a box and saying, oh, I need to do something because I have to do some service. It's just simply who she is. She's compelled to do that out of love for God, and she recognizes that quite well. And Caden would be the same thing. It's out of love for God. And we're trying to work really hard on getting all of our people, as they come through the doors of TMP, to understand, don't get the check the box mentality of, okay, I have to in order to earn, versus I want to.
Yeah.
Because I'm compelled to do that because God first loved me and created me to be who I am.
Yeah, that actually, I think that's a good segue into something that's not on our paper. For those listening, sometimes we have preloaded questions so that they come in and they kind of know something about what we're going to talk about. But then I put them on the spot because it's my favorite thing to do since I'm the host. But what Rick just said is a kind of, I think, brings up what's something that's really important that's going on at TMP. And I know TMP is kind of actually leading in this manner because we've been building it for the last several years, but that would be the capstone project. Because what I do know is that there's a lot of public schools now out there recognizing too that this is important. And there's a lot of public schools now actually requiring a senior type of capstone, whereas TMP has been doing it for what, 3 or 4 years now? Something like that.
I believe it was pre-COVID.
Okay.
COVID kind of.
Oh yeah, that's right, because COVID messed with it. But anyway, it is a growing process. But would you guys be willing to talk a little bit about what capstone is, what your project is, and how that kind of works into your faith life?
So capstone's a great project. It's a bit scary at first, just thinking what you're gonna do for the next 4 or 5 months, dedicating your time to. So you want to make sure you get a good project that you can really connect to. And that's kind of how I came up with my project that I did with my fellow classmate and fellow runner, Jacob Heimerman. We both did cross country for 5 or 6 years. So we decided to put on a 5K fun run. I know it might not sound like that to a lot of people, but
some of us enjoy it. Crazy enough.
But we decided to put on a fun run and a fundraiser for an corporation that one of his coworkers is a founder and president of, Dream Incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
Dream Incorporated gives youth that struggle with drug-afflicted families a summer camp or programs throughout the school year to find solace and a safe haven to just deal with all their afflictions they deal with at home and just find comfort in their programs. So our fundraiser ended up raising just under $1,000 for their summer programs to further increase their promotions and just getting out there to the world. And it's also a corporation that I didn't know much about before the fundraiser, and that was a major thing in choosing them, just to get awareness out to the public that they're a great corporation that needs to be provided for and just brought to attention.
Fantastic. I'm going to do a second question here really quick. I want to pause there because I'm going to bring Rick in to explain something. Then I'm going to come back to Allison. We're going to get their understandings of what we were just talking about. But first, I got to get to this question because I know some people are waiting for it. So this is the second question of the 8 o'clock hour. If you know this, call in to 785-621-4110. I would love to hear that there's a teacher at TMP that's letting their kids listen to this. I know it's difficult because I used to do it. But if there's someone out there listening, go into one of the theology classrooms or any other classroom and let the kids call in. Of course, they're going to have to go get their phone from their locker, but let them answer a question. Here we go. 785-621-4110. Ready for the question. Who was Abraham's nephew? Is it A, Isaac, B, Jacob, C, Lot, or D, Ishmael? Who was Abraham's nephew? Isaac, Jacob, Lot, or Ishmael? Call 785-621-4110. All right. That is also the number that you will call if you have a donation. We are in with Rick Binder, Allison Weber, Caden Becker, and we are talking about Catholic schooling and all kinds of things that go with that. We ended talking to Caden about Capstone Project. Before we get too much further into it, Rick, could you give us a little bit insight into what is Capstone Project? And then we'll go back to Allison to let her tell us about hers.
Sure. And I just might encourage all the listeners out there that if you think you know the answer, I wouldn't spend a lot of time thinking about the answer to the trivia question. I would just call in with that answer right away. Was that too much of a hint? Okay. That's how I give tests in my classroom too, Cody. So, okay. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's what it's going to be like.
So Capstone is the final stone put in place of any great architectural building. You know, it's kind of the mark of the architect. They built this great design and built this great building, and it's the last stone put in place to put their signature on it. So capstone in this case would be an opportunity for our seniors to put their signature on their journey through Thomas More Prep Marian. And in the case of Caden, even challenged to go all the way back to kindergarten, Holy Family on through. What was his journey like coming through? And Allison, go back to kindergarten as well with her faith journey, but specifically that time with Holy Family and then Thomas More Prep Marian. How did God reveal himself to them in the person that they are? What are their gifts and talents? Caden mentioned he loves to run. So it was placed on his heart to do something related to a talent that God gave him and something he enjoyed doing and find a way to use that to share back with the community. So it's really putting their mark on their journey of faith and their time at Thomas More Prep Marian and the time they've come through there. They have to search for their own unique abilities and talents. Allison will talk about that a little bit with her gift of music. And if you haven't ever heard Allison sing, you should come listen to her sing sometime, May crowning or whenever the graduation mass, whenever we get her to sing again.
Or
not too many times
National
left.
Day of Prayer
At the
coming up.
oh, are you singing there? Oh,
Yes.
okay. Yes, come to the National Day of Prayer. Very talented, very gifted. But how to use our talents and gifts that God gave us to put our mark on the world out there and also show the world the people that helped me build the building, if you will. So reflect back, you know, Caden's project, Jacob and Caden, you know, they involved people that had an influence on their lives, their cross country coach and people like that helped them build that building and get to that place. So that's Capstone.
Okay, fantastic. So Allison, what was your project? And give us some insight into, you know, like what did you learn? Who did you interact with? Anything like that?
Yeah, well, my project was not quite as obvious to maybe the public as Caden's is, but mine is much more impactful on TMP and everything. And I
think she just said, mine's better than yours.
I partnered with Adrian Normandin for mine. And the reason why we were originally chosen actually at the end of last year by Jensen Brohl to lead Monarch Music this year, and it's become much more of a student project in the past few years because Mr. Balthazar, he always used to lead it, and then after he passed away, Madeline Seiler, she led it, and then Jensen Brohl led it after her, and this year Adrian and I have led Monarch Music, and we've worked really hard to improve it and make it much more of a student project and be more involved with a bunch of different activities. And
Well, can you tell people what is Monarch Music?
okay, so Monarch Music is the liturgical musical group at TMP where we have a bunch of students who sing for masses, and we overall just provide music for like adoration and even masses in the grotto and everything.
Okay, fantastic. So you have a lot to do around the school.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, you guys are even getting that group together to go sing at the National Day of Prayer. And so those are awesome things that we have. Rick, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, just real quick. The other aspect of capstone is it must be of benefit to someone in some way.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not just I enjoy doing it, but I need to. So Caden and Jacob did a project that benefited Dream Incorporated in a huge way out in the community. So I think what Allison was trying to say is not that hers was better than Caden's, but
it was just fun to razzle.
That hers is benefiting the Thomas More Prep community in kind of a direct way, in that by providing student-led quality liturgies with the music that they do, it's inspiring our young people to want to go more deeply into their faith and enter into the Mass. And so they in turn will go out and do projects like Caden and Jacob did, because they're inspired through the sacraments to go out and want to live their faith as well. So it's to benefit somehow, it's to build. And so we had great leaders before them, but Allison and Adrian have embraced it. They don't just, sing the music. They select the songs. They understand what it takes to actually put this together. The students at TMP are very much learning how to be in charge.
Fantastic.
Right? Your son is a sacristan, and they're running the show. If the guy in charge, I'm not sure who that is, the campus minister is in charge. I'm not sure who would do that, but if that guy didn't show up, it would probably be 2 or 3 weeks before somebody finally say, "Hey, didn't there used to be this old bald guy that came in here once in a while? Has anybody seen him?" Nobody would know that person was missing, because the students are running this. And Allison and Adrian really took that task on and embraced it, and have taken what was already good and built it and enhanced it to be even better.
Fantastic. Want to get back to our question. I'm surprised with Rick's softball of a clue there, but let's get somebody to call in here. 785-621-4110. Let's get this question one more time. Who was Abraham's nephew? Is it A, Isaac, B, Jacob, C, Lot, or D, Ishmael? A, Isaac, B, Jacob, C, Lot, or D, Ishmael? Who was Abraham's nephew? 785-621-4110. Get those phones ringing. Call in with your pledges. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. We are in here talking with a couple of young folks from TMP, and they're talking about their own walk with Christ. So as we talk about Come Follow Me, they're discussing what they have been doing in their own lives, what they've been doing within Catholic schooling. And we're talking about the capstone projects that they have been involved in. So I just want to go back to Caden real quick and ask, what are some of the difficulties and hurdles that you had to come over or that you had to overcome in setting up a 5K fun run, learning about Dream, any of those types of things that were involved with your capstone?
So I kind of left the learning about Dream to Jacob, since he was more connected to the president. So we both helped set up and just spread awareness for our capstone. We should have probably started a bit more sooner, but
good life lesson.
Yes, but we decided to spread awareness about our capstone through putting up posters all around town and gyms, shops, even my own place of work, Dylan's.
Okay.
And one of the hardest hurdles we had to come over was finding donors for our prizes and just funding the whole operation, because sometimes we would have to wait 2 to 3 hours just for someone to say they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Just have to respect people's times and understand when they can't make something work. And just kind of bringing a people aspect into it, as people were more willing to support our cause when we showed up in person rather than on the phone. So that incorporated a good value into our lives, just being able to approach someone instead of just digitally, like our generation has kind of prioritized.
Yeah, absolutely. Allison, what about you? So any difficulties? Surely there's no difficulties in running a music program.
Oh, no, not at all. I think maybe it hasn't been so many of the same like issues or anything, but it's definitely been a lot of effort with organizing everything and figuring out when the masses are, scheduling accompanists and everything for the masses, and also just making sure that everybody has their music, and especially with bigger masses such as Catholic Schools Week Mass, making sure that everything's in order, because there's a lot of people in modern music. There's overall about 40 some people, combining junior high and high school. And with big masses, when we have both groups together and everything, it's a lot of people to that are participating in everything, and making sure that everybody has everything that they need and everybody knows what's going on and has the music down and everything for the mass.
Okay, so I've thrown everything at Caden first. I'm going to come straight back to you on this one then, Allison. What are some things that you guys have taken away that you recognize this is a wonderful life skill that I'm now going to use that I learned through my capstone project?
Well, honestly, especially because our capstones are supposed to be a lot about showing who we are and everything, and showing our strong suits and all of that. It honestly helps us to think about, well, what we want in our future and everything, and what we want to be a part of. And especially because like mine is with music and everything, like I am going to study some music in college and everything. So just being able to see that a little bit more on like almost like a job aspect, seeing how much I may or may not want to go into that in the future and everything, and working with people as well, because typically at school or whatever, it's not like we work with a ton of people on like a meeting basis or anything. It's much more of receiving information and all of that. But when you have a project, like we have projects with capstone and everything, just being able to work with people and communicate with them and make really good connections with them.
Absolutely. I know Rick used to have to work with me, so working with people can be difficult. Caden, what about you?
So I think capstone really showcases one of the core elements of the Catholic faith, just acts of service. And that's one thing that's difficult to kind of just learn. And capstone kind of just forces you to get out there and serve the community in whatever way that connects with you to God in a personal way, and just a way to connect with the community, and something that you can kind of take into after high school, whether that be college or just your after high school life, just incorporating service into your everyday life.
Wow. And if you guys don't know Caden, he's very loud, and no, I'm kidding. Caden's very reserved. And so is that something that also kind of helped you to break your shell a little bit? Is like, man, I got to go talk to people. It's not that Caden doesn't like talking to people, but you're just naturally just kind of a little bit of a quieter person. Does that make sense?
Yes, I would definitely say that, but
okay,
definitely talking with people, it's a good experience and something that I think everyone should try and do, just to get out of your comfort zone. And just talking with people you may not know, but they have stuff that you might need, such as getting a timing system. Me and Jacob had to talk with this old guy we didn't know too much, Dennis Weber, but he was fun to talk with, and he helped us learn how to use it, the timing system and everything, just to help the event run smoothly.
That's crazy. Somebody of the elder generation teaching somebody else how to use technology. When does that happen? Yes, Rick looks like he wants to.
Did I already give you your grade for your capstone, Caden? Because when you talked about that old guy, him and I are about the same age.
Oh man, I'm gonna break back in really quickly to break the tension there. No, but to also read our question one more time. This is the last chance to get our second question of the 8 o'clock hour. That number to call is 785-621-4110. Who was Abraham's nephew? Isaac, Jacob, Lot, or Ishmael? Who was Abraham's nephew? A, Isaac, B, Jacob, C, Lot, D, Ishmael. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio Spring Care-a-thon. We have a goal of $125,000. To answer that question or to give us your donation, call 785-621-4110.
So Cody, I'm going to need to step out. I do have to get back to class.
Okay.
The students will stay with you here for the remainder of the hour and finish answering
Fantastic.
questions. I just want to leave with a little hint for all of the listeners to answer the question. Think of how much Rick Binder talks.
Okay, if you can't get it from that, then, well, that's about as easy of a lofted pitch as you can get. So thank you, Rick. We appreciate your time. All right. We are on with Allison Weber and Caden Becker. They're talking about their time at TMP and Catholic schools. We've talked a lot about Capstone. And this next question I have for you, it's going to take a little bit of humility. But we also do want to recognize what you guys are doing in your lives and how you are trying to live out a Christ-centered life. Going to a Catholic school does not mean that everybody is on fire for the faith. Obviously, there's plenty of people that still don't care about the faith. There are plenty of people that are kind of lukewarm. There are some people who are definitely on fire for it, which is fantastic. So how are you guys living out your Christian call while being at TMP, through your actions, trying to model what you believe and really live it out? So who wants to take this one? I'm going to let you guys decide.
I can take the start of it.
Oh, would it be a man? Nice job.
One aspect in my life that I like to say is a strong suit is just my service towards others and just helping others, encouraging them. And one area in my life that I think I do that is sports. It's a big area in my life.
Yeah.
As I'm involved in sports year round with track, cross country, and basketball. And I like to say that I'm just whatever the team needs, offering encouragement, helping others through their trials and tribulations. Especially in cross country, it's a bit hard. And just the team aspect helps people get through it a lot better than just individually thinking about the sport.
Absolutely. And knowing Caden, I would say a great example, hard worker. Got to appreciate that. He's running for me right now and doing some great things, making some good times. Go watch him run tomorrow at Victoria. See, maybe we can put up another PR there.
Hopefully.
So, yeah, absolutely. I love that because as we talked earlier, as Caden may not be the loudest guy, like I'm pretty loud, but he's definitely going to lead by example, definitely going to push until he can't go anymore. And that is an awesome trait to have. And especially when we talk about good sportsmanship, my wife's a better sport than I am. So I'm learning, but also you're right that's something that's going to pull people along is in those difficult times, in those losses and stuff like that. How can we still be a good sport and how can we show a Christ-centered life through that? So let's go to Allison. What ways are you trying to live out what you truly believe?
Well, I think a lot of it is definitely, it always goes back to music for me because that's mostly what I'm like participate in and everything. And especially because at St. Joe's and everything, I cantor, we're in the choir and all that stuff. It's kind of like if anybody ever needs a sub for cantoring or something, I would be more than happy to help out. And just generally participating in music things, especially for like National Day of Prayer and all that. They just asked if we would be able to sing for that. And of course, we'd be willing to. We would love to help out with anything like that. And just generally helping wherever there's need with all those things. And also with even non-related music things or non-related things to music and everything, like food pantry and everything, helping out there. My family's just always done that. And it's just kind of like at TMP when they start talking about service hours and everything that we are supposed to do, Mr. Binder starts talking about all of these things that we generally just don't even think of as service opportunities and everything. Like normally they're just things that we do already. Yeah. So he starts listing off things like serving at Mass and participating in a bunch of different activities and all that, and just things that we already do. And that kind of puts things into perspective for us because we typically don't think we do as much as we do.
And I think that's a great testament to your parents. So I want to give a shout out to them because that first and foremost comes from the home. And then when it's strengthened in school, and then you guys are living out the gifts that God gave you, hard work, determination, musical gift, which I have none. If I would start singing, people would say, can you please be quiet? So I kind of wonder about the people in front of me at Mass, but I'm like, hey, God gave me this voice. I'm giving it back. And so if you see me in Mass, give me a little bit of a break. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. I love that you guys are living out the talents that you have. And thank you once again to your families for fostering that in you. Want to thank or to congratulate Ellie Beasley. She was our trivia winner. Thank you, Ellie. So the question was, who was Abraham's nephew? And the correct answer there is Lot. All right. We are talking with Allison Weber and Caden Becker on Divine Mercy Radio's Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. Call to 785-621-4110 with your pledges. We still have some of those matching funds to use up. We want to see if we can get those used up by the end of the day. Help us to dig as deep as we can. Prayerfully consider joining with us in our mission to spread the word of Christ out there on these radio waves. 785-621-4110. All right, guys, we have about 8 minutes left. And so the last thing that I want to throw out to you guys is obviously any of us can watch the news. I try not to watch it too much because you just get upset and angry and frustrated with everything going on out there. But it is kind of good to know what's going on out there. So your time within Catholic schools, how do you think that's prepared you guys to hit the ground running as you go out into the real world within this next year and the rest of your lives?
I think generally just having that foundation, especially through elementary school and all that, with our faith and having that so ingrained in us, and just like all the repetitiveness of learning all of the very important fundamentals, like even like stories from the Bible, learning our prayers, going to Mass, having all those habits and everything definitely helps with the future and everything, because when you have that foundation, it's a lot easier to combat anybody who is trying to mess with your morals or is questioning you on your faith and everything, because a lot of times people don't always have the answers to everything. Like when somebody asks you a question about your faith, and having all of the information that we have from our Catholic education definitely helps combat that and just be able to answer people's questions about our faith and everything, which in turn helps lead others to Christ as well.
Fantastic. Caden, what do you say?
So kind of jumping off of that, while both of us have a strong foundation of faith in our family lives, I think going to a Catholic school and just delving deeper into the actual theology of the faith, the deeper questions, why we believe in God, even though I know you don't believe it all the time, you taught us great insight into that.
Thanks,
and
man.
All of our other theology teachers did a great job of just educating us on that fact. And I think that just helps us answer any questions people may have and ultimately lead others to our faith through whichever way we can, whether that be debating actions or just showing people what we believe.
Fantastic. So you guys are all you need prepared. You need everything you need. No, none of us are under that delusion, but as you guys get ready then to go out into the world, what are your plans for next year?
Well, I'm going to Benedictine, and I'm going to be majoring in English with a minor in music. And I'm generally just really excited for that because of the entire community aspect there. I have gotten a chance to meet with a lot of professors and everything already, and I'm really excited for all that.
Fantastic. Are you looking at being a teacher?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, what are you, crazy? No, I'm kidding. That is awesome.
Just a little.
Thank you for that. Just a little. No, that is awesome. Teachers are superheroes. Thank you so much. Caden, what about you?
Well, I'm not going to a Catholic college. I am going to...
Once again, gotta throw that in.
It's not as good, but Fort Hayes is the college I'm planning to attend, which I
Okay.
really like. They have a good department for my major. I'm hopefully gonna keep going in, which is
Okay.
finance.
Okay.
And I also like the campus center they have over there.
Yeah.
Especially Father Andy, hoping to build a better connection with him, just being more connected.
Yeah,
with
that is
Fridays.
awesome. I mean, thank you. It's going to be great to keep you around our community. It's always good to have wonderful young people stay in our community. But as you mentioned, Father Andy and the campus center down there, they say that that's one of the most important things for a young person to do to keep their faith is get plugged into their campus center the very first thing. You do that, you're probably going to be okay. And with your guys' background, I think you're going to be okay also. So thank you guys so very much for your time. I know you're probably kind of like, hey, we don't got to go yet. Surely you can call the school and say we're too busy. But I do know that you guys do have to get back. So thank you guys so very much. It's been a blessing having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day, guys.
You
Thank
too.
You are on Divine Mercy Radio's Spring Care-a-thon. Come follow me. We just got done having a wonderful conversation with Allison Weber and Caden Becker. And we thank you guys for joining us. I want to thank Chase and Julie Berg from Hayes. They just donated $1,000. They're some great friends of mine. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting our radio station. That just became $2,000. That is awesome because we started this morning with $13,865 in matching funds. And now I don't know where we're at, but I know that we've used